Steve Wallis doesn't exactly fit the stereotype of an outdoor adventurer who's always planning his next hike to another Instagram-perfect destination. Despite that, he has built a global community of over 1 million fans simply by being one of the most relatable and inspiring content creators on YouTube. He has built a place for himself after overcoming a lot of challenges and basically has reclaimed camping for the people, leading to the nickname Bob Ross of camping. Steve's connection to the outdoors wasn't born from luxury or leisure. Born on September 10, 1981, in Victoria, British Columbia, he grew up surrounded by Canada's breathtaking wilderness. However, it wasn't until 2011 that he actually changed his life path to a highly unconventional one. That year, Steve quit his job, bought an old RV, and drove to the Pacific coast of Canada, embracing a lifestyle called boondocking. Unlike traditional camping or the modern van life movement that has been romanticized on social media, boondocking is about living off-grid with minimal resources. It's a no-frills way of life that heavily relies on efficiency, resourcefulness, and a willingness to make do with what you have. Boondocking involves finding free or low-cost places to stay, often away from designated campsites or without access to amenities like electricity or running water. With little money and no permanent home, Steve soon learned how to make the most of what he had, whether it was finding a safe spot for parking overnight or a small propane stove for cooking his meals with limited tools. He took part-time jobs to make ends meet, and with his tiny YouTube channel, he began documenting his experiences, mostly for his own amusement. The YouTube channel that he had started in April 2010 had nothing to do with camping or adventure. It was just an online space to upload lighthearted content, including funny videos and experiments. However, things took a different turn when Steve decided to film himself camping in extreme conditions. One video, where he camped in freezing temperatures of -32°C, pulled in a lot of views, although it didn't have a high production value. Nor was it anything like the highly polished, commercialized outdoor content people were used to watching. It was raw and authentic, and eventually Steve realized that this was exactly the unique content that people wanted to see. Rather than wallpaper-worthy HD shots of national parks or expensive camping gear shot in different angles, most people were interested in witnessing adventures through the eyes of someone who improvised with whatever he already had, who camped in unexpected places, and who could make the ordinary seem extraordinarily interesting and peaceful. And that's how Steve carved out his niche: stealth camping. Stealth camping isn't just as simple as pitching a tent in the middle of a forest and calling it a day. It involves finding places most people wouldn't think to camp in, like urban parking lots, under bridges, abandoned properties, or even secluded roundabouts. Just as the name suggests, it's camping without drawing attention. And Steve really showed his creative side by turning these unconventional locations into cozy, livable spaces. He has demystified the challenges of living off-grid, normalizing the often misunderstood or stigmatized lifestyle which is associated with signs of financial struggle, and reframing it as a form of independence, survival skills, and the simplicity of living with less. More than the philosophy of it, Steve's style of stealth camping has made him stand out. He spent one episode camping in a Cold War-era nuclear bunker. This abandoned structure, filled with eerie reminders of its historical significance, became one of the most unique campsites ever featured on YouTube, demonstrating his ability to turn even the strangest locations into comfortable spots for the night. In another daring adventure, Steve braved the harsh Canadian winter by camping inside a U-Haul truck. The temperature outside plummeted to -35°C, but Steve had already insulated the vehicle, set up a cozy sleeping space, and made it through the night. However, despite the thrill of these extreme conditions, one of the most significant reasons viewers connect with Steve is his personality. His easygoing charm and down-to-earth humor make him relatable, especially since he doesn't try to portray himself as a survival expert or an extreme adventurer. He shares the entire journey with his viewers, including some occasional mishaps like struggling to set up a tent or dealing with unpredictable weather. Steve's content also has a signature phrase that fans love: Step 2. When setting up camp, Step 1 is always to get the shelter in place. Step 2 is to crack a cold beer. The year 2017 marked a significant year for Steve's life. That year, he married Jess, the woman he lovingly referred to as his beautiful wife in his videos. Jess rarely appeared on camera, but her presence and warmth was felt through Steve's words and stories. Meanwhile, Steve's channel continued to grow, reaching over 1 million subscribers by mid-2022. His most popular videos are where he tackles extreme conditions with resourcefulness and humor, like Tent Inside Tent Winter Camping, which has over 10 million views, and U-Haul Stealth Camping in -35 degrees. Unfortunately, there are some curveballs that life throws at us, which are impossible to dodge. Tragedy struck in August 2022 when Steve announced the sudden passing of Jess. The news shocked his audience, who had come to know and admire her through Steve's narrations. Steve opened up about his grief in a deeply emotional video, sharing his vulnerability with the community that had supported him for so long. Shortly after the passing of his wife, Wallis's mother also passed away, compounding his grief. He mentioned in one of his videos that she lost her life to a long battle with cancer, which made the period especially challenging for him. Wallis spoke candidly about his grief and how deeply both losses affected him, leading him to take a brief hiatus from his YouTube activities to cope with the personal tragedies. In addition to these personal losses, Steve also faced the death of his neighbor, Glenn, affectionately known to fans as Crazy Neighbor. Glenn had featured in Wallis's videos, participating in camping adventures. Steve called him as a best friend on many occasions, and Glenn's passing really marked the end of an era for the channel. Despite these setbacks, Wallis has shown great strength in the face of tragedy. He has continued to produce content, honoring the memories of his wife, mother, and Glenn through experiences that celebrate their lives. Through this tough time, the community has also rallied around Steve with messages of love and encouragement left in comment sections and social media platforms, who felt like they were supporting a friend navigating the challenges of life. Even though Steve might never have expected this while pursuing this lifestyle for his own satisfaction, he has successfully built a loyal fan base that also shares his love for creativity, simplicity, and the great outdoors. Through his website, Camping with Steve, he offers merchandise, resources, and even guidelines for how to choose your own camping spot and get started. In an era where outdoor content is often dominated by expensive gear and a standard of luxury which is frankly unattainable for most of us, Steve is doing everything to make camping accessible and remind his viewers that adventure doesn't require a heavy chunk out of his pocket. His videos show how to make the most of what you have, whether it's a backyard, a car, or an abandoned neighborhood structure, challenging the notion that adventure is out of reach for ordinary people. He has also teamed up with other outdoor YouTubers, such as Joe Robinet, introducing his unique style to new audiences. Steve's fans often share stories of how his videos inspired them to try camping for the first time. And through every adventure, Steve proves the fact that life's greatest joys are often the simplest. His videos remind us to embrace the unexpected, to find adventure in the ordinary, and to celebrate life's small victories, one step at a time.